Chapter 13. Disturbance at Sarum. The 8th dark day of Edrin, 819. 48 days until Sown. Old Sarum stands out among hill forts because of the height of its walls. My Dun has 6 ramparts, but it is not as tall as Sarum and its 2. The earthworks reach higher into the insubstantial air than even the ancient oaks of the Arden. Below the man-shaped mound is a sprawling market that spreads well out from the main gate. From this distance, the rush of activity looks like a colony of ants scurrying about their anthill. A massive wooden gate rests at ground level, at the only cut in the packed clay walls. Adventurous sheep dot the steep hills, searching out elusive grasses. The outskirts of the market are filled with tanners and shoemakers, based on the stench. Hundreds of deer and ox hides are stretched on racks to dry in the sun. As I get closer, the fine linen and wool merchants take over. The farmers with their produce are closest to the gates. "You'll need a fine woolen robe come winter, I'd guess," a merchant woman shouts at me. Her ample body is barely restrained by her own smock. "And how do you know that I don't already possess such a garment?" "The young never plan ahead," she chuckles. "As a druid, you refuse to carry coin, don't you?" "You are correct, dear merchant, so I have nothing to give you for such fine wares." "Come closer to old Dorrit," she leers. "I'll whisper to you what I will require." She cackles in devious delight. I bow slightly and try the other side of the stools. Her coarse laughter turns into a hacking coughing fit. "She's a lustful woman in need of a man," a disapproving voice says. I turn to see a jumpy little bald man obsessively refolding his wares as he scans the crowd. "Everyone knows that it's better to have a warm wool straight cloth. It can be used as a blanket or a cloak. I can even throw in a cloak pin, if you don't have one. Alas, I carry no coin. So how are we to reach an agreement?" I ask. He leans forward before cocking his head sideways to check on old Dorrit. "If you could make me a potion to send her affections my way." I stand up straight. "I have studied under the master alchemist, Gwalathur of Land's End, and I can assure you that no working love potion has ever been devised." "But not more than 7 days ago, a merchant offered one to me. I've been cross with myself for not buying it ever since." "Take solace in the fact that you were not swindled. I would offer you some advice, though, for free." "Oh?" His eyes grow big in anticipation. "If you were to march over there and let her know that you have the experience to please her in ways the young men have never imagined, I bet you would get better results than from some worthless potion." I smile knowingly. He flashes a wolfish grin. "It seems I will make 2 people happy today." "You have done me a great service, noble one, so I will try to repay the favour." He surveys the crowd again. "You should leave now and not return," he whispers. "But I've just arrived." "Things aren't the same here of late." He motions me to keep my voice down. "The armed men have doubled here in the last few months, and honest townsfolk like me are no longer allowed up top." He hides his finger from the guards as he points toward the hill fort. "Even to give payment to Brigantia." Too many people look to the goddess of prosperity for all their desires. Perhaps you should go to the plains, start a bonfire, and make offerings to Artaeus. It is his protection over the sheep that allow you to sell your wool cloaks. "But prosperity is what matters most to a merchant." The funny little man shakes his head in disgust. "Before the soldiers changed, it was easier to pay the priestess to intercede on my behalf." "Then you're wasting your coin. We druids tend the relationship with the gods, and never would we accept payment." "The priestess only deals with Brigantia, so I trust that she knows what the goddess desires from us. But I tell you, something is not right up there. I have a friend in the guard who I've known since childhood. He would come join me in the tavern whenever he could, until 2 months ago. Now that a new leader is in charge, my friend acts as if he doesn't know me. The demands on we poor merchants keep increasing. Would they even let us into the fort if attacked? He shakes his head, answering his own question. These are bad times, Druid. Perhaps I should go up top and see what I can find out. 'Tis better for you to leave before trouble finds you. He nods his head at the pounded earth ramp. A large man with 4 spearmen in tow is descending from the hill fort. Mark my words, they are coming for you. The common folk spend their lives living in fear. They fear their kings and the armies. They fear the weather, and they fear sickness. Every season brings a new dread. Once you learn to listen to nature and live with her, those fears melt away. I stand in the middle of the road, awaiting my escort. It's not long before the mountain of a man steps in front of his spearmen and bows his head to me. The market has gone silent around us. Druid friend, would you please accompany us to the top? His great baritone voice fills the area. Our war leader wishes to speak with you. Please lead the way. I catch old Dorrit's smug face. She quickly breaks eye contact and resumes heckling potential customers. The din of commerce restarts as we retreat from the market. The 4 guards surround me, forming an honor guard as we follow the barrel-chested commander. Who is the war leader here? The soldiers march in step with one another, eyes straight ahead. No one acknowledges my question. The leader signals ahead, and the massive wooden gates creak open. A narrow path cuts through the earthwork and descends upward. More ponies on either side of the doors are ordered to reverse their course, and the gates boom closed behind us. The path leads us through the first rampart and between the forests of sharpened branches pointing downward. We descend to the second gate, protecting the only excavated path up along the higher earthen wall. Smaller and less grand than the bottom gate, it serves as a platform for archers. This is an impressive fortress, I say. The burly leader grunts and continues his pace. The 4 men around me stare impassively forward, not a single talker among them. The path cuts another narrow opening between the towering embankments. The canyon-like earthen walls deaden nearly all sound, making the procession feel like a funeral march. The grey clouds overhead only enhance the mood. The third gate is more akin to the first, monumental, imposing, and closed. The leader signals a stop before approaching the gate alone. After a brief conversation, the man returns. The final gate creaks open. A square wooden building sits a mere 10 paces from the gate, obscuring the view of camp. A life-sized depiction of a raven-haired woman and her cauldron are scrawled upon the front of the building. I can only assume that this blighted construction is the alleged temple of Brigantia, as if a goddess so powerful would be bound to such a paltry construct. Our non-communicative leader reports to another man, who has his own 4 guards, swordsmen this time, standing behind him. Unlike the rest of his pock-marked men, he wears no armor or weapon. His smooth baby face is a clear indication of a life free of disease or hardship. We will escort him from here. He raises his fist above his shoulder, and one of his men produces iron shackles. What's this? I raise my staff in a defensive posture. My apologies, good Druid, Babyface says. But before we can take you to see the war chief, we must make sure that you will be unable to harm him. So please, surrender your staff and allow us to place these on your wrists. Everyone must be so bound? Never have I heard of a Druid being treated as such. It is unsettling, I admit. Common folk are merely disarmed. However, as a Druid, we require the iron manacles to ensure that your formidable powers are also restrained. Who so fears Druids that he must bind them as if they are serious criminals? His men all share the same blank expression. We are living in strange times, he says, apologetically. Sensing no choice, I comply. I will speak to your leader about this treatment. The burly man and his guards depart, and Babyface's men escort me around the temple. The camp is bustling with activity. Men are advancing in rows during mock battles instead of the screaming, reckless charge that so intimidates the opponent. We are changing the way in which we fight, Babyface says. It is my contribution. The obvious pride in his voice makes me want to laugh out loud. Living a life of ease, he has clearly never experienced a crazed, bloodlusting charge so common on this island. There is an island of sorts in the centre of the camp. A ditch thrice the height of a man, and equally wide, surrounds a stout wooden building. The construction is clearly superior to the disgrace of a hut they erected for Brigantia. This war chief must be the suspicious type. The bridge to the commander's hut consists of two halves, each pointing upward to the sky. Upon a signal by Babyface, the guards unbind each half. The sections meet in the centre, perfectly connecting above the dry moat. We don't even change our gait as we march across. One of the soldiers takes a key from around his neck and unlocks the door. Everyone stares at me expectantly. Now that I'm chained, they wish to show me deference? I stride forward confidently into the darkened building. A guard shoves me from behind, and I end up sprawled on the floor. A knee is driven between my shoulder blades, and at once the men are claiming all my possessions, save my robe and shoes. Rise, Babyface says, after the thievery is complete. I jump to my feet and see the four guards, swords drawn, between me and Babyface. Into the cell, prisoner, or my men will skewer you for sport. Words fail me. The men lower their swords in unison and advance. You're Sarum! Babyface smirks at me. Afraid to turn my back on the entranced guards, I steadily give ground until I'm forced into a cell. The iron grate slams shut. Babyface comes to the cell, filled with glee. The obsidian mage of Solent Keep has an interest in druids, for some reason. I will be well rewarded for capturing another of your kind. You serve the Black Lord. My knees start to buckle. If Sarum has fallen, there is nothing to stop the obsidian mage from overrunning the plains and capturing Men Murakov Key. How could you betray your own kind? He smiles at me. It's best to serve on the winning side. He and his men depart, leaving me with only my despair.